The renowned singer-songwriter Neil Diamond, who wrote songs like America and Sweet Caroline, has endured a challenging and tragic life. After Diamond's recent diagnosis, his wife, Katie McNeil, is now facing a difficult and stressful position. Following her husband's devastating illness, Neil Diamond's widow is now bidding adieu. Through their intimate and moving journey through this difficult time, the couple has shown the depth of their bond and the challenges they endured together. After being diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, a degenerative neurological condition, Diamond has had a variety of symptoms that have made it difficult for him to carry out his active lifestyle. Diamond, who has been a prominent presence in music for decades, has been devastated by the prognosis, as has his family, especially his wife. How is his wife handling this challenging news? How has Neil Diamond's music career and ambitions been affected by this diagnosis? Let's take a closer look at Neil Diamond's life. Personal life. One of the most well-known singer-songwriters in America, Neil Diamond, was born on January 24, 1941, into a Jewish family in Brooklyn, New York City. His ancestry profoundly influenced his identity and artistic expression. His maternal grandparents were from Russia, and his paternal grandparents were from Poland. Therefore, both sides of his family were immigrants. Understanding Diamond's ties to his cultural heritage, which often had a subtle impact on his music and career, requires an awareness of these ancestry origins. Akiva Kiev Diamond and Rose Diamond were Diamond's parents. His father, Kiev, was a dry goods dealer, a typical job for Jewish immigrants in that period. Neil spent most of his early years in Brooklyn, where the family resided. Diamond's early years were spent in various Brooklyn residences with his family, but his experiences were not only in New York. The family lived in Cheyenne, Wyoming, for 4 years, while his father served in the military. Diamond had strong ties to Brooklyn, the site of many of his most important early experiences, even after this short move. His guitar. When Diamond got his first guitar as a 16th birthday present, it was one of the most significant events in his early life. Soon he began using this instrument as a conduit for his feelings and creativity. Around the same time, he met folk musician Pete Seeger while attending the Jewish summer camp in upstate New York called Surprise Lake Camp. Seeger's performance profoundly impacted the young Diamond. Diamond also thought he could compose his music after seeing Seeger play and hearing other campers sing songs they had created. His love for creating songs began with this revelation. Diamond reflected on the incident, saying songwriting was his first genuine passion as a child. Writing music gave him a way to release his frustrations as a young person, in addition to allowing him to convey his feelings. Early exposure to folk music. His early exposure to folk music, his familial background, and his newly discovered passion for songwriting all contributed to his eventual success as one of the most well-liked singer-songwriters in America. Neil Diamond started experimenting with poetry as part of his early artistic endeavors, which went beyond songs. In school, Diamond found that he could effectively get the attention and love of females he was drawn to by composing poetry for them. In addition to impressing the females he adored, his innate ability to transform words into passionate manifestations of emotion helped him succeed in his social life. Diamond's male students soon realized he had a special gift and saw how his literary skills won others around. They soon approached him for assistance, asking him to compose poetry for them. Writing poetry. With often similarly effective outcomes, these students would subsequently perform the poems or show them to the females they were interested in. Due to this prevalent dynamic, Diamond became his school's go-to source for love poetry. During the summer after high school, Diamond worked as a server in the Catskills Resort region, a well-liked New York vacation spot recognized for its connection to Jewish entertainment and culture. Many aspiring artists and performers worked or performed at resorts during the summers in the Catskills, gaining experience while engaging with guests. Jay Posner, Diamond's first wife, was born during this period. In addition to allowing Diamond to meet significant others and gain life lessons, his time spent working in the Catskills placed him in a cultural setting full of elements of performance, music, and creativity that would play a significant role in his future work as a songwriter and musician. Time at NYU. After high school, he enrolled in New York University, or NYU for short, as a pre-med student to become a doctor. However, he was also interested in extracurricular activities that hinted at his eventual job path, making his academic trajectory unique. Diamond joined NYU's fencing squad after receiving a fencing scholarship that helped pay for his entrance. Diamond continued to thrive at fencing at the university level, and it played a significant role in his high school career. He was a member of the 1960 NCAA Men's Fencing Championship team, an outstanding accomplishment that showcased his commitment and talent. He was a colleague of fellow fencer Herb Cohen. Even though Diamond excelled in fencing and pre-med, he often felt disinterested in class. His love of music and writing started to take precedence over his academic endeavors. He was more satisfied creating song lyrics than concentrating on his medical education. Journey to Sunbeam Music Publishing. As his passion for songwriting intensified, he started skipping school and attending Tin Pan Alley, Manhattan's center of the American music publishing scene. In an attempt to get into the music business, Diamond went to Tin Pan Alley to get local music publishers to listen to his works. Even if he didn't become successful right away, this was the start of his intense commitment to the world of professional songwriting. He would alternate between Tin Pan Alley and NYU, splitting his time between his developing love of music and academic obligations. Diamond needed only 10 more units to get his degree at NYU by the time he entered his final year. But then, a crucial chance altered his life's course. He was given a 16-week songwriting contract by Sunbeam Music Publishing, which paid him $50 per week, or around $510 per week in 2023. This was an essential time for Diamond, since it was his first paid gig as a composer, and it suggested that he could make his hobby a profession. When Diamond had to choose between completing his undergraduate education and following his musical ambitions, he went with the latter. To take the position at Sunbeam Music Publishing, he left NYU. Despite being dangerous, this choice began a tremendous musical career. Neil's career. Despite not finishing his pre-med degree, Diamond's time at NYU and his experiences in Tin Pan Alley laid the groundwork for his career as a singer-songwriter. Neil Diamond had a significant setback when his 16-week stint with Sunbeam Music Publishing ended. He was not rehired. His initial foray into the world of professional songwriting was suddenly terminated, leaving him without a reliable source of income. Nevertheless, Diamond continued to follow his love of music despite this setback. It encouraged him to take charge of his creative process instead, and he started composing and performing his songs for demo recordings. Looking back on his career, Diamond subsequently acknowledged that he never decided to pursue songwriting. It just consumed him and took on increasing significance in his life. Despite obstacles and uncertainties, songwriting remained his main priority. Neil and Jack. Diamond's first recording effort at this period was a duet with Jack Packer, a buddy from high school. The Everly Brothers, a well-known rock and roll combo renowned for their tight harmony singing, inspired the duo's style. They were billed as Neil and Jack. In 1962, Neil and Jack recorded songs such as I'm Afraid, backed by Till You've Tried Love, and You Are My Love at Last, backed by What Will I Do? Regretfully, these songs did not become commercially successful, even though Cashbox and Billboard publications gave them favorable reviews. The band broke up because the music industry's enthusiasm for Neil and Jack's potential did not materialize into chart success. Diamond continued to pursue his musical goals despite Neil and Jack's failures. He signed his first solo recording deal with Columbia Records in 1962. Diamond, keen to establish himself as a solo artist, saw this as a good chance. Clown Town. Columbia released Diamond's song Clown Town and the B-side At Night in July 1963. Even though Cashbox gave both sides of the album excellent reviews and Billboard commended Clown Town in its review, the single, like his earlier attempts, did not affect the charts. Diamond suffered a devastating blow due to his lack of commercial success, and soon after, Columbia Records removed him from their roster. It was a challenging period for Diamond's music career in the early 1960s. The music business was not yet prepared to accept him as a commercial musician, despite his skill and his work's critical acclaim. When Columbia dismissed him, Diamond returned to creating songs, working independently and for other publishing organizations. He struggled to establish himself in the field for the following 7 years. Neil Diamond had a restless and financially unstable life in the early years of his songwriting career. Challenges. Despite his steadfast commitment to his trade, he faced challenges to success. Diamond composed wherever he could, often writing songs on buses and playing an upright piano in a tiny room above New York City's Birdland Club. He felt peaceful and alone in the tiny space of the jazz venue, away from the distractions of the busy city below. Despite his challenging situation, Diamond found comfort in the isolation, which let him concentrate fully on his music. Because of the nature of his songwriting, Neil Diamond had several difficulties at this time. His propensity to write songs with many words and lyrics did not fit the commercial music industry's focus on catchy melodies. Publishers and producers seeking radio-friendly singles with straightforward, recognizable choruses often found Diamond's songs less enticing due to the profundity of his lyrics. Diamond's career was hampered by this misalignment between his creative vision and the business expectations, which made it difficult for him to make headway in the cutthroat music industry. Financial difficulties. Diamond could barely make ends meet during these challenging years, selling just one song a week. He struggled to make ends meet because of his low income, and at times he could only buy food for 35 cents a day, or around $3 in 2023. But his financial and physical struggles did not stop him. He was able to completely lose himself in his music in the sterile setting of the chamber above Birdland. Without the stress of ongoing deadlines or industry expectations, Diamond could write songs in this peaceful setting and tap into something more profound. The renowned Brill Building in New York City, the heart of the American music business in the 1950s and 1960s, was the foundation for Neil Diamond's early career. Aspiring composers like Diamond found great support in the building, home to many music publishers, songwriters, and producers. His song, Sunday and Me, a top 20 hit for the pop group Jay and the Americans, was released in November 1965, marking his first notable success as a composer. But Sunday and Me was the start of what quickly grew into a far more significant success story. Hit tracks. When Diamond started composing songs for the Monkees, his career took off. I'm a Believer, A Little Bit Me, A Little Bit You, Look Out, Here Comes Tomorrow, and Love to Love are just a few of the songs Diamond composed for the Monkees. Although Diamond had initially written and recorded these songs for himself, the Monkees' renditions were published before his recordings, which resulted in an unanticipated but very beneficial development. These songs' popularity, mainly I'm a Believer, thrust Diamond into the public eye as a composer. The song became a huge smash and a gold record 2 days after its release. It was one of the most popular songs in 1966, staying at the top of the charts for 7 weeks. Diamond's status as a hitmaker was cemented in 1966 when the song won the title of Popular Music Song of the Year due to its widespread appeal. And The Grass Won't Pay No Mind was a pivotal song in Neil Diamond's development as a composer and singer. Some of the most well-known musicians of the day were drawn to this piece, and both Elvis Presley and Mark Lindsay, the former lead vocalist of Paul Revere and the Raiders, recorded their renditions. Rock and Roll King. As the king of rock and roll recorded one of Diamond's most well-known songs, Sweet Caroline, Presley's relationship with Diamond became stronger. Other notable artists from the period were drawn to Diamond's early work, in addition to Presley and Lindsay. Diamond's versatility as a composer is shown by rock legend Cliff Richard, British pop vocalist Lulu, and even the English hard rock band Deep Purple covered his tunes. When Diamond got a contract with Bang Records, an Atlantic Records subsidiary headed by renowned producer and composer Burt Burns in 1966, his career took a significant turn. This was a turning point in Diamond's career, since Bang Records gave him the platform he needed to begin his solo career. His first real success as a solo artist was his first single under the label Solitary Man. Solitary Man is still one of the most cherished and intimate compositions, which captures the emotional depth that would define Diamond's music. After Solitary Man became successful, Diamond wrote a string of songs that cemented his reputation in the music business. Cherry Cherry, a lively and energetic song, demonstrated his ability to write catchy pop tunes, while Kentucky Woman gave his discography a southern flair, showing his flexibility. Diamond gained recognition as a solo performer who could regularly create chart-topping singles thanks to the success of both tracks. Going live. Diamond started performing live as his career took off, often opening for well-known bands of the day. His early gigs included opening for British invasion bands that dominated the pop and rock scenes of the 1960s, such as The Who and Herman's Hermits. Diamond was able to hone his stage presence and reach a diverse audience by performing with these energetic bands. One moment that stands out in particular is Diamond's performance with The Who as a guest act. The Who, well known for their wild live performances, sharply contrasted with Diamond's more reflective and poetic approach. Diamond was astounded to see the band's guitarist, Pete Townsend, swinging his instrument like a club, slamming it off the stage and into the walls until the neck snapped. Despite these stylistic variances, Diamond was able to refine his live performance talents throughout his time touring with these bands. His early performance experiences greatly influenced his identity as an artist, which taught him how to dominate the stage and enthrall an audience, even when he was playing with more flashy and confrontational acts. Achievements. With an astounding list of accomplishments, Diamond has established himself as one of the world's most popular and successful artists. He has sold over 130 million albums worldwide, among the best-selling artists. Diamond's success on the U.S. Billboard charts is noteworthy. His 10 number-one songs on the Adult Contemporary and Billboard Hot 100 charts include classic favorites like Song Sung Blue, Cracklin' Rosie, and Longfellow's Serenade. Throughout the 1970s and 1980s, these songs contributed to his reputation as a hit maker. The song Sweet Caroline, one of the most lasting anthems in American pop culture, is among his most noteworthy accomplishments. Diamond's ongoing popularity is shown by Sweet Caroline, which has surpassed its original economic success to become a standard at sports events, parties, and concerts, despite only reaching number 4 on the Billboard charts when it was released in 1969. 38 of Diamond's songs have made it to the top 10 of the Billboard Adult Contemporary charts, showing his success at making music that appealed to audiences for many years. Acting career. In addition to being a successful singing artist, Diamond dabbled in acting, making his screen debut in the musical drama The Jazz Singer in 1980. Despite receiving negative reviews, the film was a recreation of the 1927 classic. The demonstration of Diamond's abilities beyond composing and singing. Throughout his distinguished career, Diamond has garnered several accolades and distinctions. He recognized his significant songwriting accomplishments and was admitted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 1984. His position as one of the most influential musicians in popular music history was further cemented in 2011 when he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. 2000, Diamond was also granted the esteemed Sammy Cahn Lifetime Achievement Award, bestowed to composers whose work has significantly influenced the business. Appealing to all ages. Since his songs had become classics that appealed to all ages, this honor demonstrated the breadth and depth of his career. One of the greatest honors for American musicians, the Kennedy Center Honors, was given to Diamond in 2011. The occasion honored his lifelong artistic contributions to American society. The crowd joined in on the famous chorus as Diamond's rendition of Sweet Caroline became the event's high point. He was honored with the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award in 2018, solidifying his reputation as one of the music industry's most successful and esteemed individuals. Neil Diamond's career is characterized by the emotional connection he has built with his audience, as well as by the number of albums he has sold and the honors he has received. With essential connections and a family life, Neil Diamond's personal life has been just as noteworthy as his professional one. The highs and lows of his own experiences are reflected in his well-documented marital and family journey. Personal life. 3 notable marriages have defined Neil Diamond's personal life, each reflecting the changing stages of his professional and personal struggles. Early in his musical career, in 1963, he married Jay Posner for the first time. As he became more well-known, Posner, a teacher, helped him along the way. However, the strain of his growing celebrity caused their relationship to falter, and they eventually divorced in 1969. Shortly later, in December 1969, Diamond wed production assistant Marcia Murphy. They were married for more than 20 years, and throughout that time, Murphy was critical to him as his career took off in the 1970s and 1980s. Their partnership started to struggle in the early 1990s, however, and they eventually separated and were divorced in secret, which is often dated to 1994 or 1995. Despite their breakup, Diamond has spoken favorably of Murphy's impact on his life. His relationships. After that, Diamond started dating Ray Farley, whom he had met in Australia in 1996. The companionship this connection gave him throughout his personal turmoil and health issues, incredibly persistent back pain, greatly affected his ability to perform and compose music. At 70, Diamond announced his engagement to television producer Katie McNeil in 2011. In 2012, they were married in a private ceremony. In his personal and professional lives, McNeil has been an essential influence, motivating his artistic endeavors and assisting with career management. Notably, the significant impact of their passion on his songs was evident in his 2014 album, Melody Road. Diamond's incredible career and creative output have been molded by navigating the intricacies of celebrity, personal relationships, and health issues along his path. Health issues. When Diamond received a diagnosis of Parkinson's disease, a degenerative neurological condition that impairs movement and coordination, in January 2018, he was confronted with one of the most difficult challenges of his life. For Diamond, receiving a Parkinson's disease diagnosis was a turning point that affected both his personal and professional lives. Parkinson's disease is characterized by its slow development, which results in symptoms including stiffness, tremors, and trouble moving and balancing. This diagnosis presented serious difficulties for a singer whose career has been characterized by a strong stage presence and vocal delivery. After receiving his diagnosis, Diamond said he would no longer be performing. The announcement coincided with the cancellation of his 50th anniversary world tour's last leg, which included scheduled stops in Australia and New Zealand. Since live concerts have been a vital part of his profession for decades, the choice to postpone the tour dates was not easy. Passion never goes away. However, the message also clarified that Diamond was not completely giving up on music. The purpose of the cancellation was to give him more time to concentrate on his health and work on new music endeavors, such as composing, recording, and creating new songs. Diamond has been candid in discussing his battle with Parkinson's disease, including his feelings and experiences after receiving the diagnosis. Diamond spoke openly about his feelings after receiving the news in an interview with CBS Sunday Morning. He said he was in denial for the first year or two after the news. He told his doctor he needed to concentrate on his job and was unprepared to accept the diagnosis, demonstrating his reluctance to the news. Diamond has spoken of a feeling of peace that has surfaced since he received his diagnosis in recent thoughts. He has pointed out that this sense of serenity is a relatively new phenomenon. Quiet after the storm. Diamond suggests a dramatic change from the initial turmoil of his emotional reaction to the diagnosis by comparing this newfound peace to a quiet that settles in after a storm. For Diamond, this feeling of serenity has changed everything. He has said he is enjoying this more sedate and reflective stage of his life. His relationships with others, as well as his perception of himself, have been impacted by this composure. Diamond says he is more comfortable with himself and more understanding of those around him. Diamond admits that accepting his situation is a constant struggle, despite his composure. He freely acknowledges that he still finds it challenging to embrace Parkinson's illness. He characterizes it as an ongoing emotional battle that he is overcoming. Diamond has also underlined how crucial it is to acknowledge and accept his limits while focusing on the good things in his life. He understands that Parkinson's disease cannot be cured and that he cannot wish it away. Acceptance. Rather than attempting to avoid or disregard the constraints imposed by a chronic disease, living with it requires facing and embracing these limitations. In an interview with CBS, Neil Diamond spoke about his experience with the Broadway production of A Beautiful Noise, which was based on his life and career and debuted in December. Even though Diamond found the musical emotionally taxing, he viewed it as personal therapy. While watching the performance, he felt uneasy since he was sometimes overwhelmed with fear, flattery, and humiliation. How his life was portrayed in the musical forced him to face hard-to-see parts of himself, illustrating the complexity of seeing one's past being acted out for an audience. Notwithstanding these difficulties, Diamond's involvement with the program offered a significant opportunity for reflection and self-discovery. One of Diamond's first public appearances after he retired from touring was a surprise performance of Sweet Caroline on the opening night of A Beautiful Noise. The show must go on. This performance was especially noteworthy since it showed how he could still sing and engage his audience. According to Diamond, performance was a harmonious experience in which his body and mind seemed to function in one. Diamond acknowledged his exceptional life and reflected on his lengthy career with a feeling of contentment. His participation in the musical's premiere and his comments that he still enjoys singing highlight his continued bond with his music and its significant influence on his life. Diamond's ongoing connection to his music and performance skills is essential to his identity and fulfillment, even in the face of health issues and the hardships of facing his life's narrative on stage. His thoughts demonstrate his work's profound and long-lasting influence on his private life and public image.
If you've watched the video till here, that means you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe. Don't forget to turn on the notifications bell icon